Hello there, my stamping friends. Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers, and I have a Stampin' Show and Tell to share with you today. I'm going to be creating this card, which features the Painted Poppies stamp set along with the sentiments from Create with Friends. And if you can tell, we're going to be using our blocks and ink to create our watercolored background. Okay, so I call this the watercolor block technique. I'm sure there's another name for it, but that's what I'm going to demonstrate. So I'm going to show you how to make the background and then how I added the color, and it's a nice simple fronted card, so it's one layer on the front and then mounted to the card base. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our show and tell today. Alright, so I have my large, well, not my large, this is the D block. Okay, I have my D block. And I have Daffodil Delight ink, which I've just re-inked, so it should be nice and juicy for us. And then I have a piece of shimmer white cardstock. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ink up and then spritz my block to get it nice and wet. Okay, so here I go. Does that have ink on? I think so. Alright, so I'm just going to press this into my ink pad. Okay, so that puts ink on there, and then I'm going to use my spritzer and hopefully not send it everywhere, and just give that a couple of spritzes. Okay, that just activates the ink on the block. Okay, it kind of bubbles up a little bit. It might spread a little bit if you get a lot on there. And then I'm just going to apply this right to my cardstock, and I kind of press it down, and you can see through the block where the water kind of pushes around, and then I pick it up. So you see how I got that effect on there. Now I don't want to put a lot of water into my ink, so I'm just going to kind of brush off the block. But now I do it again. So this is kind of a repetitive technique until you fill up your background with the amount of ink coverage you're looking for. Okay? So see how I do that? And then I just kind of get the excess off. And you just keep going until you get what you're looking for. Now, you can put it down and you could roll it around, you could twist it a little bit. Okay, we're just looking for color. And actually I can dry my block off even on my cardstock because I want to cover the whole piece with this yellow ink. Okay, with my daffodil. Whoop, see, spritzed it. Not even close to the block. So, come in here, and I'm just overlapping where I'm putting it. And then I can just kind of clean it off. Just keep working. So you can apply as much as you want. You can leave as much white space as you want on your cardstock. You could be very methodical and put it down always in the same direction, or you can put it down going in rotating positions. So you could do it with bigger blocks, you could do it with smaller blocks. You kind of get a different effect with the amount of ink, the wetness, and how many layers you put down. Okay, so you see how I did that? So I've got my shimmer paper covered with my daffodil ink. Alright, now I have to let that dry really for a little bit before I can move on to my next step. So I have one that I've already done ahead of time that's dry. Okay, so let this layer dry when you're doing it for yourself. Okay, we're going to put that aside. So I have one, like I said, I've already done, and you can see the difference, right? This one's got a lot more white space left in it. This one I put a lot more color on. This was before I re-inked my pad. This was after I inked my pad. So you're going to get a different effect when you do this. Even if you did multiple cards, they're all going to come out a little bit different. So don't feel like you didn't do it right. There's no right. It's just a fun technique. Alright, so I'm done with the yellow. So now I'm going to stamp with Memento on my dry sample here these poppies all in a row. Now I'm using Memento because I want to color my poppies with my red blend marker, and so I'm using the Memento for that purpose. So I'm just going to stamp these down kind of up near the middle top section. Good, nice clean image there. Now I'm going to use a different block, so I'm bringing in my long H block. Now you could do this again with your ink pad, stamp it down and spritz it. I'm actually going to do it with my marker because you can do it with your pads or your markers. So I'm just going to color my block here. And this marker's a little bit dry, but I'm still getting ink to transfer to it, so I'm just going to go like that. And I can change direction, it doesn't matter. I'm just applying ink to my block. So hopefully I get enough on there, and I'll get a good transfer of ink when I spritz it. Alright, so let's see. When I spritz it, I'll see if I get what I want. So I'm going to bring this over here, and I'm going to spritz this. And I'm going to let the water kind of roll around on it a little bit this time, because I want some curve and texture to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it down over my stems and below. So I'm just going to, oh, we're just going to go for it. Here we go. So I put that down. I just watch the ink transfer over to my card. Okay, so I've got some green in there. Now, I didn't get a very good impression here, so I'm actually going to do it again, because I want a little more color on there. So I'm going to add more ink to my block, and I'm going to spritz it. And I'm just going to come in like this, and I'm going to go right over the top and hope I get a little more color in there than I did the first time. Okay, so like I said, you're going to get a different effect every time you do it. So now I'm going to come in with my red blend, and I'm going to add color to my flowers. I'm going to turn it this way just so I can not be touching the wet green right now while it dries. But I can just come in with my fine tip end of my blend, and I can add the third color to my card. See how that color just pops with the contrast to the green and with the watercolor blocked background? I like the nice bright colors with the springtime coming up. You could do this with any images you have in your collection, of course, but I just like this idea of the field of poppies. How do we do? I think we got them all? I think we got them all. Okay, so I've got my green mass, right, my field, I've got my flowers, I've got that. Now I'm going to add my sentiment down here. So I'm using sentiments from the Create with Friends, and I'm going to stamp that with the memento as well, because I want them to really stand out. So first I'm going to stamp down the word amazing. Ink that up really well. I'm going to put that down here at the bottom. Great. And then I've got the little word your. You are. I'm going to stamp that above, just like that. Okay. Now I'm just going to mount that onto a piece of coordinating cardstock. This time I think I'm going to go ahead and do it with dimensionals. A lot of times when I do a watercolor technique, I end up doing it with my liquid adhesive, but I'm going to do this one with dimensionals because it's not too wet saturated, so I think it'll be okay, I think. So I'm just going to put enough on there so it kind of stays tacked down in many places. It wasn't going to grow up on me, but I want to have a little bit of lift on this one between the base and the printed part. Okay, so I'm just going to center this on the front of my card. And there we go. So what do you think? The watercolor block technique. Okay, and you can see I got very different results. This one, when I did my watercolor block, it stayed very towards the center, and that could have been the way I colored it. This one, I got a much wider wash of it, but that's okay. It's a watercolor technique. It doesn't have to be exact. So I hope you enjoyed the technique, guys. Remember, thumbs up and comments are always appreciated, and you can find all the details on my blog with the link and my tutorials. And if you're shopping, shop with me. I appreciate it. It helps me out and helps me do more fun projects to share with you. All right, everybody, do some fun stamping today. See you again soon. Bye-bye.